Hi guys, welcome to the channel Ithaqa's Bane, bringing you all manner of tabletop gaming. If you guys enjoy the channel, please like, subscribe, ring the bell and comment. Comment away! In this episode we have Broken Shores, brutal survival in a drowned world, and this is by Blackoath Entertainment. Alex T from Blackoath kindly sent me a copy of this game a while back, but I wanted to put it into my October schedule because I think the setting and the feel of the game fits very nicely with October, the darkest month. Now, in this role-playing game, you play the role of drifters, survivors of an ancient cataclysm that has ravaged the world of Zephyros. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but that's how it's spelled, Zephyros. And the world has turned into a dark fantasy Waterworld, but thankfully with no Kevin Costner or technology. It is designed for both GM-led campaigns, where you have a GM and a party of players, but it is also designed for solo play. In fact, it has a chapter, if I can find it, there is actually a chapter covering GM-less play. So it has a lot of tools to allow for solo play, which is great. So the GM-less rules and tools section is very useful, not just for solo players, but also for games masters, to give them a little bit of extra help to create situations, to answer questions, to create NPCs, for example. You have your basic oracles, the sort of yes-no oracles, which is not just a simple yes-no. It has a little bit of detail in terms of the level of difficulty or the level of possibility. Also, it has an optional element where you can add complications to those results on the oracle. You've got action and theme tables, again, to help you as a solo player to generate a circumstance, an encounter, a situation. But again, not just for solo players. Games masters can use this as well to aid them. You've got some help in terms of determining what a creature will do, in terms of their combat actions, in terms of their reactions and disposition. Again, it helps you to guide the story, to guide what things that the player will find, or yourself as a solo player, it helps to determine what the opposition will do. So it's taking a lot of the guesswork out of it, but it's still not providing you with everything you need. You're still going to have to sort of narrate the story and take these prompts and generate something from those, but it is very, very useful. Motivations for NPCs, descriptions, and then what's the NPCs doing. So it's not a huge amount of pages, but it contains a lot of very useful tools for both the solo player and the GM. So here's the background for the game. Again, let's turn to the page where it goes over the background. Obviously, I'm not going to be reading everything, but the background for this game is there were different cults and religions on the world of Zephyros, and they started a lot of wars. Eventually, the gods themselves joined in with almighty, all-powerful hissy fits against each other, and there were only 3 gods surviving. One of these gods was Aphion, the goddess of the sea. And in a wave of anger, she caused floods, tsunamis, and basically covered the world in water. Hence the game title, Broken Shores, Brutal Survival in a Drowned World. Now, the narrative background provided isn't long, but it does do a good job of setting the scene and covering the background that game masters or solo RPG players are going to need to start planning and playing. And And like I say, there is a chapter for the solo player as well, to help, with oracles, tables, and reference lists to help campaign and scenario generation. There is actually a lot of stuff at the back to actually create, the campaign and the game itself. So the game revolves around the player or party exploring a randomly generated ocean, because the world is just one sea now. And you're scavenging and hunting and trying to survive amongst some derelicts that you can find, sort of deserted settlements, destroyed settlements, tiny islands that are now just starting to appear as the seas slowly recede. And one of the most desired items that you are trying to find are things called God Shards. Ultimate power. Now, in the book, there is a lot of stuff. The bestiary is not huge. It's fairly small. A small number of creatures and enemies to encounter, but there's a lot more to it than just fighting monsters and fighting creatures. There's a lot of other things that you can encounter, and like I say, at the back of the book there is quite a large section that goes over other types of encounter, things that you will find, settlements, ruins, other dangers, other types of encounters. It's actually quite comprehensive. Overall, the book is well designed. It's well laid out. It's easy to read, easy to understand, easy to follow. Everything is laid out very well. The artwork is amazing. The artwork suits the book, suits the setting really well. The Dungeon Dive, another channel, which I'm sure a lot of you guys watch anyway, they previously reviewed this game when it had its previous name, which had to be changed for certain reasons. But during the Dungeon Dive review video, he made a few suggestions, sort of recommendations, some feedback. And Blackoath Entertainment, Alex, has basically listened to the content creators and has actually made some changes and added some things which is good. It actually makes the game a lot better. The suggestions that the Dungeon Dive recommended actually is very good, and they're included in this new version. Now, one negative is that my copy, again, thank you very much to Alex at Blackoath for sending me a physical copy, but I think it's from DriveThru. But the binding is starting to go already, and I have to be honest. I've had a couple of quick games of this, a couple of sort of characters, not a couple of sessions, but a couple of very small campaigns to learn the game. And I must admit, I haven't been rough with the book, but it's starting to come apart a little bit at the spine here. The rest of the book seems to be okay. So, I mean, that's a minor thing. I mean, with a lot of the books that you get from places like DriveThru, you do have to be careful sometimes. The binding's not always the best, and this type of book does tend to split fairly evenly. But just a little heads up. I'm very happy with the printing. I'm very happy with the actual book itself. But like I say, it's kind of come apart. Now, let's get back to the positives, because like I say, there's hardly any negatives at all. It's just that one little thing about the binding. A lot of positives. This book has everything that you need. With this one purchase, you have the complete game. You don't need anything else, except for certain worksheets. Things like the character sheet, which is two-sided, your magic sheet, which also I've printed on the back of the raft sheet, ocean exploration, island exploration, ruin exploration. These worksheets and character sheets you do need. They're not actually in the book. But if you purchase the PDF, you will get those PDFs. You'll get all the worksheets with your download. If you order the physical copy, You can download all of those worksheets for free from the Blackoath Entertainment website. I'll put all the links in the description below as usual, but all you need is this one book. Yeah, the worksheets, and you're ready to go. That's it. Now, if you do want to use other tools, for example, scenario generators, encounter tables, it wouldn't be a difficult task to bring them into the game or to incorporate them into the setting, but it's not necessary because in the book itself is all manner of generators from encounters, locations. There's a lot in here. Most of the mechanics, the rules, the tables, etc. Will be revealed and explained during the upcoming playthrough. But I just want to have a quick word about the sort of overall sort of game mechanics and rules before we start our character creation. In the following videos, I'll be doing a playthrough. So again, I'll be showing you all the specific rules and encounters and everything else. Now, the game uses a D100 or percentile rule set, which at first glance, as I was reading through the basic rules, and the rules don't actually cover a lot of pages in terms of the mechanics. It doesn't actually cover a lot of pages, but as I was reading through it, it brought back memories of my RuneQuest days. Yeah, back in the day when I was a lot younger and thinner, but I used to have a lot of fun. I really loved the old RuneQuest system, but I always found the setting, Glorantha, to be a lot of work. It was too detailed, too complete. Everything that you want to know about Glorantha's in there. It was too amazing. It was too epic. And I mean, that's one reason why I'm hesitant to do RuneQuest on the channel, because I don't think I would do the Glorantha any kind of justice. It really is a very deep setting. But here we have a game that has a very similar rule set to me. It reminds me a lot of that RuneQuest rule set, but it has a much simpler and easier to run setting that hints of a future where the waters recede and the lands re-emerge. In fact, I think that would make a great long-term campaign, spanning generations of characters as they fight to reclaim the uncovering lands as the seas pull back. Yeah, you could maybe start with Broken Shores as the seas start to lower, as the islands and the land start to reveal, and then maybe adapt, modify maybe an alternative setting for one of Blackoath Entertainment's other games. Rift Breakers, maybe? Maybe, I'll have to see. Again, Alex T did actually send me the digital copy of Rift Breakers, but it is a lot of pages, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to print that one out, but it's definitely another game that I would love to play and cover. Now, back to Broken Shores. Characters have 6 basic attributes, and if you've played any kind of role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons-esque, you are going to recognize the attributes. You've got strength, dex, dexterity, constitution, will, intelligence, and charisma. Standard attributes. And also, you're going to be having a wide range of skills and talents to choose from and adopt for your character. Now, the key mechanic in this game is known as the check. And this is a D100 test. You roll percentage or D100 and you're trying to get equal or less than the attribute or skill in question. Now, Again, I'm not going to go over the rules in detail. You'll be able to see exactly how it works during the playthrough. But that's essentially what it is. You're rolling a percentage and you're trying to get equal or less than your attribute or skill. There are difficulty modifiers, however, so there is that element of uncertainty. When you're facing just another cultist, it may not be as easy as you think, or maybe you find just another spring trap. These difficulty modifiers, which you can, maybe if you have a game master, they can select, or if you're playing solo, you have a table here to get a random difficulty. That really can change how you approach your adventures and your games. In a lot of sort of standard games, especially with maybe less experienced game masters, you come across a goblin, it's the same as the last goblin. You know, you whack it, it's got so many hit points, it does so much damage. Good game masters and good players will learn to adapt, modify, and change things. So not every goblin is the same, just like every human. Yeah, not every human is the same. And these difficulty modifiers are a good way for you to interpret the differences between the things that you're going to find, so that not every cultist is going to be the same. Some of them may... what's the easiest difficulty? Child's play. Maybe you find a cultist who's extremely drunk. Therefore, it's going to be much easier to whack him on the head. On the other hand, maybe there is one of the cultists that you're facing, maybe you roll up almost impossible here, where he's really skilled in certain martial arts or something, yeah? But these, I like this. I do like these difficulty modifiers to actually modify what you're actually going to be facing. I think it's a good thing. There are, again, very recognizable elements to the basic game system. You have fumbles and criticals. A 96 to 100 is a fumble. A 1 to 5 is a critical success. Again, this is very similar to other games, but it works. Doesn't always need to be changed. Another thing is in terms of your skill and attribute progression, in terms of increasing your skill, in terms of becoming better. Also in terms of your attributes, in terms of raising the attributes to make yourself stronger, healthier, more intelligent. And the way that that is done, again, is very similar to the way that RuneQuest used to do it, in that if you succeed using a skill, there's a chance that you have a chance to increase it. Now, in Broken Shores, it is a little bit different in that every skill is linked. If I go back and find the skills, every skill is linked to an attribute. And if you roll below your attribute value, when you're making that percentage roll, there is a chance that you can increase that skill. And then if you do enough of those, there is a chance that you can improve your attributes. I like the way that it's all linked together. So you can't just raise an attribute by itself. In order to raise an attribute, you've got to raise a number of skills linked with that attribute. And that represents your training, your gaining of knowledge, your improvement through the use of skills. You're not only having the chance to raise the skill, but also having the chance to raise the associated attribute. I did mention that you have a chance of increasing because it's not certain every time. For skills, for example, if you do succeed in a skill and if you roll low enough, you then have to make a check to see whether you increase that skill. And you have to roll above your current skill value. So as your skills get better and better, you're going to have less and less chance of actually increasing more. Again, very similar to the ones I remember from RuneQuest. Okay, what about combat? Now, combat is a core element of many role-playing games. Not all, but many role-playing games. And this one's no different. There will be combat, although in my practice games, as I was learning the system and learning the game, I did find that, if you're not good at dice rolling, or if you're unlucky at dice rolling, Combat can be extremely dangerous. But combat is actually pretty simple. Sequence is this. First, everybody rolls initiative, which is D10 plus your Dex attribute. Enemies will roll as a group, whether rolled by the Game Master or rolled by you as a solo player. You only roll once for the group initiative for your enemies. You'll then take turns performing actions and attacks. You roll to hit using a relevant combat skill. So you're rolling percentage or D100 against your skill value. Equal or lower, you hit. The opponent then has an opportunity to either dodge or parry, in which case they are going to make a D100 or percentage roll against their dodge skill or their weapon skill. Now, this has another thing that I'm very, very impressed by. When a character or an enemy, a monster, whatever, attempts a dodge or parry, every further attempt in that turn gets a minus 30%. So if you try to dodge more than once, it's going to get harder and harder and harder. And you've got to be careful because parry is going to affect your weapon check or your weapon skill. So if you decide to, for example, if you decide to parry with your weapon, if you then attack afterwards, you're going to get a minus 30 to that roll. It's a very clever system, but you'll be able to see it in action as we play the game. I do like that rule about the minus 30 every time you do it, but only for that same turn. Other turns, you get reset back to normal. And then you apply damage, you check for fumbles or criticals, you reduce the damage by the armor, rinse and repeat. Now, there are also some rules for timers and armor integrity using dice chains. So the dice chain is it's like a reduction of dice types. It reflects that your time is running out or your armor is getting weaker. I've actually seen something like this in, I think it was Fighting Formations. It's like a hex encounter war game. I think it had something very similar to this. But again, we'll see how that works when we actually play the game. There's also rules for healing and death, for conditions, for wounds, for fatigue. It's very important in this game in terms of your water intake and your food intake, because you can die if you don't. There's also rules for crafting, for sailing, and for your vessels. Now, when you create a character, you start with a raft. It's a fairly big raft because you're going to have space for a crafting station, you're going to have space for storage. But yeah, there is rules regarding sailing, rowing, and your vessels. So you've got to repair when it gets damaged, upgrade it, things like those. And there is one other thing I want to talk about. Magic. Sorcery. Yes, there is magic in this game, but it is described as dangerous, forbidden, and frowned upon. And yes, like I say, when I did my practice games, when I was learning the rules, I did do one character as a magic user. Yeah, not the best idea for me with my luck on the dice, because things can go wrong very easily, very quickly, and very badly with the arcane arts in this game. However, it is a thing. Magic can be very powerful, but it is extremely risky. Right, so, I mean, that's a very, very quick overview of the game. There are a number of, like I say, the layout of the book, the sections of the book are very well done, very easy to follow. You've got all your critical tables. You've got, like I say, your GM-less or your solo rules in the middle here. Again, very, very useful. And then after that, you've got a little bit of narrative, a little bit of setting, and then you've got all of these sections explaining how to find the worksheet. Where are you? Yeah, how to do your, this is going to be your main hex map where you're doing your ocean exploration. And then on the back, you'll be able to make notes in terms of which hex has got what in there and what kind of effects and what kind of weather. But it's all on there. Also, there are rules to help you construct your islands, to help you explore your ruins. It's all in here. You've got demonic corruption, encounters, derelicts. Yeah, most towns start as nothing more than a bunch of ships roped and hammered together. There are lost floating structures known as derelicts. Yeah. Traps. Again, there's all kinds of things here. Islands. Very good random island generation in here to really come up with something special. Different terrain types, mishaps. You can find all kinds of wonderful things and encounters, of course. Landmarks. You've got descriptors and objects in terms of generating not just a landmark. You've actually got a way to actually add some color, add some soul to it. Hazards. And then after that, you've got loot. So there's all kinds of treasure, weapons, armor, artifacts. It's all in here. And then you've got your enemies at the back. So I really like the way that the book has been written, the way it's laid out. It's very, like I say, very easy to understand and very easy to read. Easy on the eyes. I think going for this sort of monochrome, sort of black and white and grey design actually benefits this maybe more than other games because it really suits the setting, the dark sort of survival focused setting. But yeah, and there's also rules in here to create NPCs. You can get allies. There's a lot in here. And like I say, it is a complete game. You just need the book, download or print out the worksheets, including the character sheet, and you're good to go. Right, well, that is a very quick overview of Broken Shores. Just a quick look through the book. A quick look at the mechanics. More will be revealed as we go through the playthrough. We'll see the mechanics in action. We'll see all the little fine details and everything as well. We'll see all the different ways that we can generate the world, encounters, and everything else. Next up, we will create our character, and that will be in the next video coming shortly. And then after that, we will play Broken Shores, Brutal Survival in a Drowned World. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is going to be something that I'm going to be including more on the channel. RPGs. I do actually have a lot to cover. Maybe too many. But I have a plan to include more RPGs on the channel. So hopefully that'll be something that you guys enjoy. If you do enjoy these videos, please take a moment to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and put down some comments. Have you played this before? Are you interested in this? Well, if you are, I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Stay safe. Cheers.